defend our public system.
The honourable member for Thornhill.
Speaker, after 8 years of this Liberal Prime Minister, Canadians can't afford groceries. They're up 11%. They can't afford rent. It's doubled. 9 out of 10 young people say they'll never be able to afford a home. And to add insult to injury, he's tripling the carbon tax. Will the Prime Minister take responsibility for the cost of living crisis that he created, or will he at least get out of the way so we can fix it?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we recognize that Canadians are going through difficult times right now, following the challenges of the global pandemic, following the challenges of global inflation. That's why we chose to step up to support Canadians last fall with a doubling of the GST tax credit. It helps 11 million Canadians, moving forward on supporting lowest-income renters and making sure that all families can send their kids to the dentist. Unfortunately, the Conservative Party, despite their rhetoric, stood against those last two measures, refused to help Canadians who need it, and are abandoning the middle class in favour of cuts and austerity.
A member for Thornhill.
The Prime Minister has been in that chair for 8 years, and for millions of Canadians, things have never been worse. Inflation is at the highest it has been in 40 years. Interest rates are the highest in a generation. Home prices and rents are the highest they've ever been. He can try to deflect responsibility. He can try to blame someone or something else. Conservatives are fighting to keep the heat on and the taxes off. Will he at least do the same?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it's interesting to see the lengths to which Conservatives will go to pretend like the pandemic never happened, because it was a very difficult time for Conservative politicians on the federal level who weren't convinced about vaccines, who didn't like all the supports we were sending to Canadians, even though not only did it ensure millions of Canadians were kept safer during the pandemic, but it allowed our economy to bounce back stronger than just about any of our fellow economies. In regards to supporting Canadians, our price on pollution puts more money back in the pockets of families at the same time as we're investing $500 million so that families can upgrade their home heating.
Honourable member for Calgary, Forest Lawn.
8 years of this woke Prime Minister's inflationary spending, and seniors are going cold, hungry, and broke. 75-year-old Janet from Montreal says she's completely out of money because Liberal inflation drove up the cost of her groceries, gas, and her rent. And now she's saying she can't even retire. This Prime Minister will pile drive more seniors like Janet when he triples his failed carbon tax scam, further breaking seniors and Canada. Is this the sunny ways this Prime Minister was talking about? Will he take some responsibility, show some humility, and take the tax off so seniors can keep the heat on?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, while the leaders of the opposition members are simply focused on frightening seniors, what we actually saw 10 years ago was they raised the age of retirement from 65 to 67, which we returned to 65 when we first took office. Then we moved forward with an increase in the guaranteed income supplement of 10% for the most vulnerable single seniors that party voted against. We continued to step up in ways to support Canadian seniors right across the country, lifting more of them out of poverty, while Conservatives continued to argue against those investments.
Well, member for Calgary, Forest Lawn.
This guy must be great at dodgeball, the way he ducks, dodges, and deflects questions in here. He sounds like a broken record, but not as broken as what Canada feels like after 8 years of his failures. He's completely out of touch. Does he actually think people are patting him on the back because he's raised the cost of gas, groceries, and home heating by his out-of-control spending and his failed carbon tax? If he doesn't want to take the tax off so Canadians can keep the heat on, why doesn't he just get out of the way so he can fix everything he broke?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
As a government, we stepped up to support Canadians during the pandemic. As a government, we continue to step up to support Canadians during these difficult times of high inflation and high interest rates. That's why we put forward initiatives to double the GST rebate for 11 million families. That's why we move forward with rental supports for the lowest income renters, why we move forward with dental supports for families who can't send their kids to the dentist. Those are two measures, Mr. Speaker, that despite all the rhetoric from the Conservatives, they can't dodge the fact that they voted against them.